Hey Falcon fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome to Atlanta Falcons today. It is mailbag time. The Falcons are 1-0 based on what happened last week. They're 1-2, but you get my point. We're going to get into your mailbag questions. Bunch of good ones this week, including some NFL draft questions, even though the draft is very far away. Either way, I will answer it. That's my deal to you guys. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Use hashtag Falcons down below if you want to get on next week's show. A couple of these questions were comments on last week's mailbag video, and so if you want to have a head start, maybe get in on next week's video, go down below, use the hashtag Falcons, and ask away. All right, let's jump into Mafi's first question. He says, Thomas, how do you feel about the slow starts from the offense in the first quarter? Other part is TJ Green. How do you feel about his progression? Is he a starter? Quickly on Green, I don't know if he's a starter just yet, but I think the progression has been there, even though he did get beat on that play against the Giants. But I think he's been, okay being promoted. In terms of the offense, Arthur Smith's got to open this offense up. The more I watch film, the more I look at this and go, give me some more pizzazz. Give me some more motion. You can't help but look around at the good teams in the National Football League, and every single offense has something in common. It's the use of motion, and the Falcons do it a little bit. We saw it a lot more during the preseason, and now they're just kind of lining up and, going out there and seeing what happens. They've got to open up the offense a little bit more. I know they're trying to probably protect Matt Ryan from the bad pass protection, but it's been pretty solid the past couple of weeks. And when I say solid, I mean it's not been garbage. It's still bottom half of the league, but it's not been bad. And so I think this is the week to open things up a little bit and show that this offense can scare people. I don't think we scare anybody right now, and yet I think Atlanta has enough weapons, even though people don't think they're a good football team, to scare people. You got to stop Kyle Pitts, you got to start Calvin Ridley, you got to figure out Russell Gage whenever he's healthy, you got to figure out obviously Matt Ryan, Cordero Patterson, Mike Davis. There are enough weapons to scare you. Open up a little bit, that way it's hard to game plan for them, and you're a little bit nervous, lining up week in and week out against our Atlanta Falcons. What we can't have is the slow starts, though, and you mentioned that, and I think, again, you open up the offense, but this is what happened against the Giants. First 5 drives, 5 plays punt, 4 plays punt, 3 and out, 8 plays, then you punted, and then 3 plays, and then you had the fumble. So this is not what we can keep repeating itself, because when you play good offenses, which you saw against the Bucs was the only good offense they played so far, you can get behind the sticks, and then you panic, and then you're going to throw some picks, and the game's going to be over. But bad offenses like the Giants, bad offenses I think Washington, you can start slow, but obviously fix that, and then you have a lead for once, which Falcons haven't really had over the past couple of weeks. Imagine having a lead. Imagine being up by 14. What would that be like? Oh my gosh, we're leading by 14 points. What do we do right now? Get to faster starts. I agree. Hopefully they open the offense up and can do that going forward. What's your biggest issue right now with the offense? What do you think the issue is? Is it the fact that the offensive line is not good? Is the offense not opened up enough, like I just said? Is it the fact they're not running the football enough? What is the biggest issue on offense? I want your guys' thoughts. I'm going to read these comments. Go down below right now. Matthew Decker says, why do we always shy away from Kyle Pitts? Great question. I went back and watched the film to try to figure this out. I'm not a film geek, but I do like to throw it on Monday or Tuesdays and try and, analyze or whatever. Here's what I saw. Kyle Pitts faced a lot of double coverage. Now, it seemed like the Giants' idea was we're going to make sure Kyle Pitts doesn't beat us, which is interesting because, in my opinion, I'd rather, Kyle Pitts beat you than Calvin Ridley beat you, but the Giants had a very clear idea that Pitts was going to be really, really good. I think a couple of things here. They've got to scheme it better, and that includes motion. You can motion Pitts around and get him those one-on-one opportunities if a defense will present itself. And also, they need to go ahead and get Calvin Ridley going. If you start getting Calvin Ridley to be last year Calvin Ridley, 10 catches, 110 yards, and a touchdown, teams will have to rotate safeties. They're going to have to move coverages to his side. You put Pitts on the other side, and you're one-on-one versus a backer versus a safety or versus even a cornerback. He's that good. I think that he'll be just fine. But they both need more targets, though. And really, again, we can't justify spending the 4th overall draft pick on Kyle Pitts if you're not going to at least throw him the football. And they did it later on in the game. You saw in the red zone, Matt Ryan was locked in on Kyle Pitts, maybe a little bit too much, kind of the bad throw. But that pass, obviously, on the final drive, wide open with man-to-man coverage. It was zone coverage, and you found the hole in the zone. Both these guys need to get a little bit more, but I do think that the Giants' idea was to double Pitts and make sure he doesn't beat you, which you only do so much about. Who do you think deserves more targets right now? Because I think that both of them do, but if you had to pick one you want to see get the ball a little bit more, is it Pitts or Ridley? Type P down below for Pitts, or go ahead and type R down below for Ridley. Quick shout out to our friends at BetUS who give you the crazy promo code right now to get the deposit bonus. 125% whenever you first sign up and get your deposit down to start betting on. Hopefully the Falcons. The Braves have been really good. Hopefully going to lock the division up. Chatsports.com/betfalcons. The promo code is Falcons125. My bets of the week, I feel really good about. I was not good last week. I like where we're at right now. The Chiefs are -7.5 versus Philadelphia. It was 6.5, now 7.5. I like Kansas City to win by double digits. Philadelphia has looked really bad the past couple of weeks. The Lions are +4 versus the Bears. I mean, the Bears are... Why are the Bears favorites in this football game? The Lions have played everybody very tough. They should have beaten the Ravens had it not been for a missed false start and then, of course, a lucky field goal. But give me the Lions to win outright. The Colts need a win. I like desperate teams with good talent, especially on defense. Wentz's ankles might be more healthy. Give me the Colts +3 right now versus the Dolphins. Okay, Michael Floyd says, I know Matt was good in his time, but the Falcons need a more mobile quarterback. Really? Do you think that would fix the Falcons' offense right now? A mobile quarterback would not fix anything right now. We talked about this a lot. I do think that drafting a quarterback was something they needed to do this past draft. They obviously did not, but a mobile quarterback wouldn't fix anything. What we've learned this year in the National Football League is that the rookie quarterbacks who are playing right now are not ready to play. And so what would have happened had we drafted Justin Fields, for instance, or, let's say Kyle Trask or somebody else's, by this time in the year, after a couple of struggles by Matt Ryan, or, a couple weeks from now, we'd all be clamoring for Justin Fields to go in and start. And then he would struggle like he is with the Chicago Bears. The Bears have proven that a mobile quarterback doesn't save a bad offensive line. He was sacked 9 times last week. I know the offensive line for Chicago is atrocious, but a mobile quarterback does not fix everything. What the Falcons should have done is drafted somebody and sat him for a year, like a Kellen Mond or a Kyle Trask, and then slowly worked him in to be the starter. That's still the successful way to win the NFL, unless you have a quarterback named Baker Mayfield or... I guess Josh Allen, who are two of the recent guys who started right away. Well, even Baker didn't start right away. It took him a couple of games. Allen's the only one who really started week 1, and he was really, really good. And so I think that we're seeing the inevitable result of having to rush a quarterback onto the football field right now in Chicago, and I think it proves to us that a mobile quarterback wouldn't fix anything. It'd be nice, and I'm not saying you don't take one in the upcoming NFL draft. I think they got to draft somebody at some point, but don't think a mobile quarterback solves all the sins because, look at teams like... Philadelphia has a mobile quarterback right now, and they still have a lot of issues. Lamar Jackson's mobile, and the Ravens could almost be 0-3 had it not been for a couple of lucky plays. So I don't think a mobile quarterback would have fixed anything, in my opinion. Okay, we'll get into the next question here in a second. First, though, trying to get to 4,000 subs. We're at 3,480 subscribers right now, so we're about almost halfway to 4,000. So we're trying to get there as quickly as possible. If you guys like what we do here, if you're new to the channel, you just found us scrolling through YouTube, take a look at some of our older videos, but also go down below and subscribe. We would greatly appreciate it. Mike, Falcons fan, says, what would a win on Sunday versus Washington mean for this team? Everything. This is a massive game and a huge implications going forward in terms of a successful season versus a non-successful season. The Falcons haven't been 500 in years. Falcons have not been 500 since I moved to Atlanta, and I moved to Atlanta 2.5 years ago. You got to think about it. They were 1-8 during that terrible run with Dan Quinn, and then the final year of Dan Quinn, they were 0-4, 0-5 to start the year. They haven't had a game that which if they won, they would get to 500 in 3 years. So this is just huge, not just for the season, because 2-2 versus 1-3 is a completely different ballgame. But I think for morale for a lot of Atlanta fans, you'll start to see Mercedes-Benz Stadium a little more filled up if the team is 500 and above, which of course they can do based on this schedule. Even if they lose to Washington, I think that the Jets, Dolphins, Panthers, Saints are still an easy foursome, and we've talked about a lot here on the channel. They're going to be 500 at some point in the month of October. Why not do it the first week in October? Give it to me on Sunday. It would go a long way. It'd be huge if they could go ahead and do that. DJ Avery says, Falcons, would you like to see the Falcons take Jordan Davis from Georgia in the upcoming draft? And some Georgia D-line players. I'm always for drafting D-line players. I'm all for drafting Georgia players, even though Atlanta has historically not drafted defensive line players. I think that your draft targets are pretty clear, though, depending on how high you're up in the draft. These are my top 22 draft targets for the Falcons based on needs. Kayvon Thibodeau is probably the best pass rusher we've seen come out of the draft in a while. He's really good. He's probably going to be gone way too early unless the Falcons are terrible this year, but I would love him out of Oregon. Evan Neal, the offensive lineman from Alabama. We know offensive line is a big issue for the Falcons. I don't think fans are going to be thrilled with taking another O-lineman in the first-round draft pick, but he's a real option for the Falcons. Derek Stingley, the cornerback out of LSU, is incredible. I see a lot of Jalen Ramsey in him, and even though AJ Terrell's been good, I think an opposite cornerback would be beneficial. How about a Tyler Linderbaum out of Iowa, another offensive line option to improve the offensive line, and then I'll throw a quarterback in there. I like Matt Corral. I think Matt Corral is rising up draft boards right now. With Spencer Rattler for a long time. Rattler's been atrocious this year. I think Corral has been really vaunting himself up. He's the favorite to win the Heisman right now. So I think you throw a quarterback in there. But again, I think pass rush defense is probably where they're going to go in the first round. It just depends on where they're at in the 2022 NFL Draft, which is still early, and I'm hoping they are in the teens to 20s. That means you're actually winning football games, because I want to win, unlike some of you out there who just want to lose. What's the biggest draft need for the Falcons in 2022? Do you have a biggest draft need for the Falcons in 2022? What is it? My opinion, it's probably pass rusher or offensive line. Give me yours down below right now in the comments section. One more here quickly. Timmy Two Taps says, where the Falcons rank in the NFC South? like literally, or where I think that they rank, because literally they're at the bottom. But I'm not sold on 3-0 Carolina, and I've said this. They've played nobody. I mean, the Panthers have to. I think they play Dallas this week. I think they play Dallas this week. That'll be a good test to see if Carolina's actually good or not. A lot of injuries. No Christian McCaffrey, and that one, no J.C. Horn. I think that they're going to start to come and take a step back, even though I like what Darnold and Matt Rule have done. And I think the Saints are a 500 football team. Like, I don't see the Saints being a 10-win team, even though they have good wins, technically, over the past couple of weeks. The Patriots was a good win, and it's good defense, and the Packer game, but the Packer game is an anomaly, and the Patriots offense turned the ball over 3 times. So I think the Falcons are middle of the pack right now. I will go Bucks, Panthers, Falcons, Saints would be my ranking right now, but I think Atlanta has a chance to get to, 500, and then we'll see what happens and goes from there. All right, ultimate for today on our Atlanta Falcons mailbag video. Use the hashtag Falcons to get a question in on next week's mailbag video, but the kicker is, as always, make sure you guys are subscribed. It helps grow the channel and gives us more incentive to give you guys more content going forward. Again, for Atlanta Falcons today, I'm Thomas Mott, signing off. Enjoy the rest of your day.